Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Lab A2-6T-V1. This is a 6-top pin in an A2 system in a vial package of 100. That's what all that means. So when you buy one, you're purchasing a vial of 100. You could probably buy this in their packaging as well. Their sealed packaging. I personally like the vials only because they're easier to stack them and then read the top of the unit. So when you buy one, you're buying a vial of 100 pins. We do have one removed from the packaging here. You won't be able to see it on camera, but nonetheless it's removed. I'm going to put my caliper on this. Little spot check here. And that's what's great about Lab. 0.75. Okay. In 30 years, I think that I've had one pin that I suspected was a bad pin. Because forgive me, because I thought the pin looked like it had gotten, through a set of gears, looked like it had gone through. So just really great quality. So there is, you're doing interchangeable core work. You're doing a 6-top pin. If you speak interchangeable core pin terminology, you're certainly understanding what that 6T or 6-top pin means. There is some supporting information on the screen view. Let's switch to it now. Okay, this is the item that we are here and looking at. Top pin. This is a number 6 in the SFIC A2 system, which means 0.075 in length. A2, A3, and A4 systems, those are different technologies, or they're different theories. They're different, not theories, they are different systems, I suppose, under the best umbrella of how to pin interchangeable core. A2 is by far the most common. A4 is there as well. A3 was phased out. Those different systems basically, in a nutshell, provide, one system provides greater expansion than the other. The A3 had the largest expansion, but it was found to be faulty in its original concept, so it's been phased out. Okay, so when you buy one, you're going to buy a vial of 100. Okay. Link to the manufacturer's page is here. Let's click on that. Pull up the product catalog that's there. Then we can take a look at the what will we search? Well, we can search A2. That's going to find a lot of pins. Let's get to where we can find the pins. Okay. These are A2 master top brass pins. Lab brand interchangeable core pins. Nickel silver and brass. Then they have pins for in nickel silver for other than best, because they have a best kit and they have a other than best kit as well. I believe I own the other than best kit because I do more Falcon than I do best when I'm pinning interchangeable core. You can buy them in the V for the vial or the P for the poly bag. I like the vial better because it's easier to organize, in my opinion, as I think I said earlier. You'll want to use nickel silver with nickel silver pins with nickel silver keys, and then brass pins when you're using brass keys. That's important to keep those metals the same. On that page, it also says to refer to page 23 and 24 for additional information. Let's do that. 23. Okay. Lab brand for best. Nickel silver. 2B through 19B. For top pins. the next page has quite an additional amount of information talking about them as well. And it does say use brass pins with brass blanks, nickel silver with nickel blanks. It's important to know what system you're working on, because the length of the pin, because they're not giving you the pin length in thousandths of an inch, they're giving it to you in a size. So, you'll need to order a 6 top is the bottom line. So be mindful what kit you're using, because the shape of the pins will be different. As you can see just immediately, how the crown changes, how the tip changes. This is all incredibly important, that you're ordering the right material. If you're not using factory original material as well, it's all 0.108 diameter pins. Small format pins are a little bit smaller in diameter, not really perceptible, but nonetheless, if you really chew through them, you can buy them in a 1,000 or 5,000 pack. I've never had to do that. Multiples of 100 has always met my requirements. The balance of the catalog is really handy, because it will allow you to go through all of the lab products here. Obviously, pin kits are what people are going to know lab for, but of course they sell all the stuff that you put into it. This vial stadium is certainly very nice. Will certainly keep your top of your work area organized. You can't really argue against it, because it's a lot easier to pull them out of this vial stadium than it is a box where you've tossed them all into. I don't care for the poly bags at all, because it's harder to organize them, in my opinion. I would imagine every lock shop has a 3,000ths or a 5,000ths Classic Pro or Emerald Wedge kit. And that stuff's really good for your garden variety keying, quickset and whatnot. But when you get into other systems, let's say medical biaxial, if you're getting into Corbin Master Ring, obviously anything high security, you do get into an area where you need to be working with the original manufacturer's equipment, because it may not be available from lab. Spool pins are here. Serrated pins. That does lend to the pick resistance of spool, and serrated pins do definitely lend additional pick resistance to a cylinder. Even those incredibly gifted people that can pick what I would consider unpickable cylinders open, it even does require a small amount of additional time for them to get serrated or spool pins open. And what's interesting is ASA, there are high security cylinder manufacturers who really take this to even a further step, where there is a counter milled chamber drilling that's done in the plug itself, which is really, really interesting stuff. It'll give you false readings when you're trying to pick the cylinder, which I do next to none of, because I've not developed the skill, and I don't have confidence that I would ever develop the skill. So I don't spend time trying to do it. But a walk down, YouTube lane, and you'll find all kinds of people incredibly gifted at picking open virtually unpickable cylinders. Lots of kits for lots of different systems, and scrolling through here I think would be time well spent. Let's finish up this video on camera. In conclusion, I'm certainly unapologetically a fan of Lab. Their equipment is quite exceptional, readily available, allows you to get the job done. That Classic Pro or the Emerald Wedge, you can have one kit and do lots of different, a dozen or so different common systems reliably, correctly. You're not really, hampering the health of the system by using a generic kit. I prefer the 3,000s kit over the 5,000s. I like that finer increment between pin sizes. Obviously, filing a cylinder plug is... Actually, it was taught, if you found locksmithing manuals from the mid-20th century, it was in there. That's not considered appropriate ever at all to do that, because it's not. So use lab when you can, when it makes sense, and it does in many instances. Then you'll have your specific kits for doing your specific jobs. But you'll want to check out lab because they do a great job. And they are an original equipment manufacturer for many people. Not for everyone that exists, for lots of people, though. I even know that there have been arrangements where the machinery has been bought by Company X. Those machines are owned by Company X. They've shipped the machines to Lab, and Lab performs the operation and the manufacturing of those pins for Company X. Relationships like that because of their expertise in the product knowledge area of pins and whatnot. Any questions on the Lab? This is their part number A2 system, a 6 top pin. This would be brass or any other Lab product. Please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.